We are back, folks. It is Sunday evening, and it means it's time for another live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast. We have episode 61 coming your way. We got a debrief with football. We got to catch up with each other, and of course, lean into the hype of Auburn basketball. All that coming up right now. War Eagle Auburn family, War Eagle E2C Network family, thank you so much for joining us. Whether you're watching live, whether you're watching on the replay, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, all the different places, times, and places and multiverses that you can get this, we appreciate you being here and hanging out with us. I'm Kyle. That is Austin. We are back, baby.
We're back. Happy New Year, Kyle. Happy 2024. Hope you're doing well, friend.
And can we just go ahead and address, not the elephant in the room, because we don't speak of elephants here, but the sultry sounds of Austin's voice coming through that beautiful microphone that he has in front of him. He has upgraded all for you folks. It's amazing. Welcome
all
to the
for
club.
You folks. Well, thanks. We're taking this thing up a notch. 61 episodes in, we decided we'll take it seriously. And, well, as serious as we can. And it's been good. No, shout out to Andrew, my brother-in-law. Got me some headphones and a microphone for the podcast for Christmas. So super excited. Probably won't sound that much different to everybody else, but it'll be good for some crotchety old man rants, I'm sure.
No, I will tell you, it does. The more I hear it, the more I'm like, oh, I like this better.
All right.
So look, A+. Look what happens. We take 2 weeks off. Yes, for the holidays, we take 2 weeks off, and we get better in some aspect. I mean,
that's right.
Let's be honest, Austin. You're the best part of the show anyway, so you didn't have that much to get better, but you just made it even better. So,
we try. It's all from a technical standpoint.
That's right. Well, if we could just stop the computers from falling off the beds and us, getting interesting shots of you,
No promises.
I honestly, I hope that continues to happen because those are like the best bloopers to put out there online. But nice new equipment for Austin. We are happy to be back with you all in the saddle. There was some breaking news as well we're going to get into in the show for Auburn related stuff. Most of you will probably know what that is, but we'd love for you to start off the show here by smashing the like button, whether you're on the replay or you're watching this live. If you're in the chat right now, you can go ahead and let us know you're here by posting your city, your state. If you're international, do that as well with a War Eagle. Anything that you'd like to ask us or comment about in the meantime, we're going to start the show, the live recording, about 3-4 minutes here. But if there's anything you'd like to do, say hello to Austin, tell us how your Christmas was. It's just nice to be back, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Super nice to be back. It went by really quick, but really glad to be back. Hope you had a great Christmas, Kyle. We didn't talk a whole lot over the break. Yeah. We didn't bother each other too much.
No, I did roll through Auburn once or twice traveling, up and down the corridor, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And I thought about maybe popping in on you and surprising you with a little bit of Christmas cheer, but alas, I did not bother you. Now tell me, are you a outside Christmas lights person? Do you have them on your house?
We do not have any on our house this year. We've done it in the past. We have 4 reindeer in the yard and lights on the bushes outside. Okay. None on the house. I commissioned my brother when he was still at Auburn, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, while Emily was out of town for a weekend, to climb up on the house and outline the roof with me, and we both almost died twice. So I don't think I'll be doing that. Well, Emily wants some wreaths, like some lit wreaths on the house at some point, so that's probably in the future somewhere. But I don't think I'm going to outline the house again for safety of myself and my family.
Listen, if I had been prepared, I could have had a video pulled up of my setup outside, and I will tell you folks, it is still lit up right now. I love Christmas lights, and it takes a lot of effort to get them up. So I leave them out as long as possible. I am considering this to be the final night, though, that they'll be on. They won't probably come down for another week or so, just because it's a hassle. But I'm trying to keep myself from turning them back on after tonight. We're all about the Christmas lights here. Now, you would think, this being an Auburn show, I would be also prepared and have like all my lights be orange and blue. You can't see it in this shot, but the last night, the last show that the audience would see our Christmas lights and Christmas setup was the Wednesday night show. So I have at least excommunicated the Christmasness from our view here at E2C Network. But my house is fair game because I think it's fair.
Hey, it takes a lot, and it's not that long when you think about it. So, but Kyle, the real question we all want to know: did Obby Claus visit your house?
Oh, Obby Claus always visits the house. Now,
Good.
He was good to me in a variety of ways, but not so much in the Auburn ways.
Okay.
And maybe we can dive into that because I'd like to ask you in the show if you got anything Auburn for Christmas. But I will go ahead and spoil alert. I got 0 things Auburn for Christmas, and
yeah,
I'm kind of ashamed, to be honest with you. I got more Atlanta Braves things than I got Auburn things.
Okay. That's interesting.
And that's one thing. So
yeah. I can talk about it in the show. I got a pullover, and I think that's it.
Now, technically,
that's about it.
Technically, you could make a case that you got something Auburn related with that microphone and those headphones.
True. I mean, very true.
To me, that's that counts right there.
Enhances the whole of the Auburn experience. So
it does. It does. Literally does. Got us a pencil tree on sale for an AU only Christmas tree next year. Looking forward to having multiple Christmas trees in the house, Plainsman Murph says. I agree with this. I have multiple Christmas trees in my house. One is I'll pull the curtain.
How many?
Do you count like things that weren't meant to be Christmas trees that were turned into Christmas trees? Like, does that count?
Like what?
So, okay. Okay. Sorry. I know we got to get the show started, but let me give you some context. My mother-in-law had these old, they were meant for outside Christmas tree things with like built-in lights, but they're like 3 feet off the ground. We don't have a covered porch, so she gave them to us. We can't use them outside. So we just put them inside in like the corners of our house. And this past couple of years, we started decorating them, even though they really weren't meant to be decorated. Do you count that?
No, I don't think I'm going to count that for this exercise.
Then if you won't count that, that is 2. And there may be a third coming this year because we may be in need of a third one if one of them doesn't survive.
We added a third this year. We had 2 usually, and we added a third this year.
So we'll add hopefully another legitimate sized one, and maybe that one. We've got enough Auburn things, like the smaller tree that we have all the Auburn stuff on with a bunch of other things is starting to tilt over. So we might need to adjust that a little bit. Don't let it ever be said that we don't love Auburn in this house, because we've got a lot of Auburn Christmas ornaments. And
I've never done an Auburn only one at my house, and I think that needs to be an addition next year.
I think that's like a requirement if you have an Auburn podcast. I'm just saying. And I say that as a person who's failing in that category too. So, all right. We are at 8 minutes. It is time to get the show started. Looks like we got a decent crowd here. So again, smash the like button, folks. If you haven't, it's a huge help to us. Here's how it goes. If you're new, if you've forgotten, about a 30-minute show, roughly 10-minute-ish, 3 10-minute-ish segments. We're going to talk about a little just intro. Welcome back. Auburn Popery stuff. Segment 2. About football, kind of debriefing, and that probably won't be as fun of a conversation. In some areas it might, because a lot has transpired since we have been gone. And then in the final segment, we will discuss the hype of Auburn basketball right now. It is a good time.
We're talking. Yes, we're going to end on a high note.
On a high note. So with that being said, Austin, are you ready?
I'm ready.
In 3, 2, 1. David Housel described it best: we are living the whole of the Auburn experience. That can be quantified and qualified in a variety of different ways, through different people, different times, different venues and places, different opportunities and experiences. But at its heart, at its core, it is all about the sports, the Auburn culture, and the Auburn family. And because it's about family, well, it makes sense. We got to have some of those people in here to do a show about it. So I am your host again, back from the holidays, Kyle Loomis, and in the saddle with me, Austin Scott. If for those of you on the viewing portion of this podcast are seeing a very spiffy microphone, a very spiffy set of headphones, ladies and gentlemen, he looks like a professional podcaster. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Kyle.
Voice
I'm
hasn't
glad to be
improved
here.
Much.
No, voice is definitely still the same. Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to our listeners. Hope everybody is doing well and had a great Christmas and holiday season. Kyle, rate yours out of 10. How was your Christmas?
My Christmas, here's the thing. I could actually get into things that we don't necessarily need to talk about on this show, because it's not really pertinent we'll not get into all that. Austin knows about some of those things, but all things considered, this was actually a really good Christmas.
Good.
It was surprisingly fun in some areas. This was the first year that we spent Christmas at our house, like actually woke up on Christmas morning with our cats and actually got to go see family in our vicinity. A lot of things have changed, here at the old E2C Network headquarters, and it was a lot of fun this year. I will tell you, as I kind of said pre-show, I'm a little bit ashamed to say that I did not get anything Auburn for Christmas. I don't know if that disqualifies me from doing this show, but I just wanted you to know that, and I need to confess my sins to you. So I'll flip that. How was your Christmas / what did you get for Auburn Christmas?
Excellent. It was great. This was also the first year we spent at our house Christmas morning. Woke up here. Obviously, the twin boys' first Christmas. Very exciting. Abikaz did come to see everybody. All things went well. Abikaz did bring me an Auburn pullover. Abikaz was good to us, and so it was a great Christmas. We were blessed. It happened really quickly. But lots of good memories made, and happy to be in a new year and plenty more to look forward to before the next Christmas.
I will, make sure I clarify. Abikaz did visit. He just didn't bring me Auburn things, and
which is okay.
I think that's because I didn't do a good job of asking for them this year. Frankly, I didn't get really my list into Abikaz until like maybe 10-15 days before Christmas. It was a bit of a busy time. And, listen, I always enjoy getting Auburn stuff, but this was just not the year for that, apparently. So I will atone for that. I'll tell you this much. I noticed a lot of people on social media sharing a lot of books and stuff that they got related to Auburn this year. And I instantly just regretted every time I saw them posted. I was like, I need that one. So I have a list that I've already made.
Good.
Birthday, for if you just want to give Kyle a gift day, and for Christmas next year that I'll be asking about. So if you guys listening, watching, and finding this clip off in the future want to share what you got for Christmas that's Auburn related, please do. This is the portion of the show where we bounce around and do a little bit of Auburn potpourri. The reality is we've been gone for 2 weeks plus. Way too much has happened for us to be able to cover everything, but we are going to talk about one thing that literally just before we recorded this show going live was the news that just dropped. Auburn University's marching band is the official winner of the Metallica marching band competition. Was there any other choice, folks? I watched some of those other videos and nothing comes close to the coordination. Wow, he went to the trash level. I wasn't going to say it, but go ahead.
We support the Auburn University marching band. I don't support all those other bands. I'll say it right now.
I mean, look, I wasn't going to be that harsh about it. I was just going to be kind and say, I think everybody tried, but you just can't compare with the greatest marching band in the land. And when you combine Auburn engineering to use the lighting effects, and who else knows what other Auburn departments, capacities got involved in this project. We know all the marketing team was in on it. I mean, can we just give a full round of compliments to everybody involved, but especially the marching band support staff, the marching band members, the leadership, all of it. Congratulations. You guys earned it and you deserve it. I don't know what else can be said about it, but I'm just so proud of this marching band.
Absolutely. If you saw it in person, you knew how incredible it was. And all it took was everyone else recognizing that and officially giving them this award. So congratulations to band directors, the band students, Auburn Engineering, Auburn University, because it's a huge accomplishment and one that is right and one that should definitely have happened. I think we would definitely be crotchety old men had this not gone to Auburn's way. But really, congratulations to all involved and incredibly well deserved.
I am so happy for them. It was beautiful, amazing to see it at nighttime. They did it during the quote unquote daytime. We'll call it the almost dusk time, but you didn't even get the true brilliance of it in that, but it still looked great. So if you haven't seen it, there are plenty of videos online. Of course, we'll request that you go check ours out too, but obviously honor the Auburn University band's official video if you want to get the full effect of everything there. They got some great over the head shots. Like I said, this is news we expected, but it doesn't make it any less fantastic. So congratulations to them. Something else that I'd like to bring up in potpourri, I want to give just congrats galore. In the NFL, by the way, the playoffs are coming around the corner, and we might have some things to talk. It feels like every year there's an Auburn person in the NFL game, it seems like. But I want to give a shout out in the NFL game into the Super Bowl. Kyle, come on, get it right. I want to give a shout out to one Derek Brown, who, if I have this correct, are you excited?
Yes.
If I have this correct, became the record holder for most tackles by a defensive tackle in NFL history today with the Carolina Panthers. That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. I mean, it's
fantastic. It's well-deserved. He lived up to everything you could imagine from a 5-star. As a Panthers fan, I'll tell you, he had plenty of opportunities for tackles because they're terrible, and there were people running past him all year long. But it's a record that only he has. Kyle, the history of the NFL, that's a lot of defensive tackles and a lot of really good defensive tackles, and have the single-season record for Derek Brown. It's one of those things where you hear it and it's like, okay, yeah, but it's you start thinking, you're like, oh my gosh, like how long has that record been standing, and how many did it take for him to get it? So huge accomplishment by Derek Brown. Really exciting, and definitely something a lot of Auburn people are proud of him for.
You know, it's not often, and when I say not often, it's not like I'm not saying it never happens, but what I'm talking about is we talk so much about these high school recruits coming in and being just hyped up. You know, they're 5 stars. And sometimes they live up to that. But I feel like rare is the story where someone is hyped up coming from high school, lives up to that hype throughout the college career, not just like builds up to it. I think, like, example, Carl Lawson, and who's had a decent NFL, he kind of built up. He had the hype, took a slow start. Injuries were a reason for that, but built up to it. Derek Brown from the get-go.
Day one. Yep.
Day one, superstar here, lived up to the billing. I mean, we all remember when he nearly took it back at Florida if there wasn't a sniper up there in the swamp that took him out on the fumble recovery. And then gets to the NFL, drafted high, and just lives up to the billing there. And he's, what, 3-4 years into the league at this point?
Yeah.
Something like that. It's just begun.
Young.
We are talking about probably, and I'm trying to think on the fly here, Auburn's best representative in the NFL right now in terms of prominence, because he was up for the Man of the Year award. He's, he was highly regarded as a rookie. Is there anybody else in your mind that lives up to that billing other than Derek Brown right now in terms of prominent Auburn representative? Cam's not there.
No, Cam's not there. I think you could probably make an argument for Carlton Davis. I think his kind of production's kind of lacked a little bit in the last couple of years. That's taken him out of the spotlight. We know Noah Igbenogany is still doing well, and I just thought Darius Slayton still does well with the Giants.
Jamil Dean,
I think DBs. Derek. Well, and the kickers, the Carlson brothers. I think Daniel might have Derek Brown beat in that area, but he's a kicker. He kicks 60-yard bombs.
Hey! What are you saying about kickers, sir? There's a kicker right here.
I'm saying that it's there's an opportunity for him to maybe get a little more recognition than the big boys up front. Sometimes that's all I'm saying.
It's a fair point. It's fair. We got a lot of great representatives, but one of the best ones, and deservedly so after this big thing today. Derek Brown, your leading tackle getter for a defensive tackle in NFL history. Congratulations to him. That's going to do it for Auburn Potpourri. We have got a lot to get into coming up here in our 2 segments. We're going to try to debrief football, and then we're going to get into the excitement of basketball coming up next. But before we do that, I want to talk to you about something real quick that we've been talking a lot about on this show lately. And I know as a content creator, I'm needing to find a lot of opportunities to give myself a little extra energy. And let's be honest, being an Auburn fan can be a little bit rough sometimes. You need that extra energy boost to deal with the ups and downs of this roller coaster ride. But the problem is a lot of those energy alternatives out there, they have some, we'll call them not so good setbacks or things that come with them that don't make them necessarily the best option for you, especially for your overall health. But our friends at Magic Mind have got you taken care of. After personally trying Magic Mind, I can attest to their claim that they are very good at defeating burnout and elevating your mental health. And they give you the benefits of these energy alternatives that we've already mentioned, but with some extra benefits, and it's healthier for you. They help you with their mental focus, be more productive, but they give you a more prolonged, healthy, natural way of doing it. For those of you with certain types of allergies out there, such as needing a sugar-free diet or no nuts in your diet, if you have an allergy there, if you are keto, paleo, vegan diets, they meet all of those requirements for you. If you're interested in trying out this healthier energy alternative, please visit magicmind.com/Auburn podcast and use the code Auburn20, and you'll get 56% off a subscription or 20% off a one-time purchase. Again, please give them a try and check them out. We can obviously tell you that we love talking about them here since we've been talking about them for quite some time. Visit magicmind.com/Auburn podcast for the code Auburn20 for 56% off a subscription and 20% off that one-time purchase. Our big topic number one tonight, Austin, it's not a good one. Well, let's be honest.
It's challenging.
Challenging is a nice way of saying it, because we know the lifeblood of this show, being an Auburn person, is its football program. And there have truly been a up and down nature throughout the season. Even so in the last 2 weeks, because since you and I left, if I'm correct, Austin, they have had an amazing, we didn't get to talk about this, right? Early signing day.
Yeah, that's right. Wow.
That was after our last show. They had a bowl game. I will not venture to describe, because I don't think I can use some of those words I probably should use, that bowl game. Some departures. Some people deciding to stay, come in. So it literally, for the last 2 weeks, I wasn't going to say it. It has been up, down, emotion here, emotion there, just everywhere since Christmas to this point today of us being back in the studio, not together, but virtually. I guess let's start at the beginning. This is your Auburn football debrief for the last couple of weeks. Let's start with the good. Let's start with the good. That national signing day, early signing day, whatever you want to call it. Wow. I mean, every single commit at that point except one signed, and that's counting transfer portal people that already come in at that point. Every single one of them. I don't recall a day where that type of success was had on one signing day. There's always someone that flips. There's always someone that, and Auburn was doing the flipping, this time around. It was incredible. I mean, it was just one of the more fun signing days earlier, otherwise, that we've had in quite some time, in my mind.
Yeah, no, the drama was minimal. I think any drama Auburn fans were hoping for was in addition to what was already kind of established, right? Like you said, not a whole lot of people flipping away from Auburn. It was more hopes of flips to Auburn, and reaffirming commitments and getting the signatures in. Just an incredible job. It's a top 10 class right now with after a full first class year with Hugh Freeze and the staff, with more on the way. It's not done. This is just the early signing period now. And hopeful for more on the way in February here in less than a month, or I guess a month. So really awesome. It was a big day for Auburn in terms of momentum and social media presence and engagement, awareness, all those things. And it was like, I think you described it well. It was fun. It was a fun time on signing day, which those have not been kind here in the past. And have been a little more stressful. So really great job. Kudos to the staff.
Where did you hear we weren't done yet? I heard something similar.
Just some guy on Twitter.
It's just some guy, that happens to work in the building. And
X.
Sorry. I'm sorry, everybody. Sorry. X, whatever it's called. I'm still going to call it both probably at the same time. Yeah, I heard we weren't done yet either. And we'll see how much more not done yet we are coming up soon. Okay, let me just talk about the biggest story of the day. there before we move on to the bad stuff. People are calling it the best wide receiver class ever and in Auburn history. I feel like there's a lot of hyperbole in that, but I also feel like there's some legitimacy to it, because if you know, this is speculation at this point, if a certain other commit wants to flip, I've told people on several live streams, I will never argue again that it's the the best wide receiver class that Auburn's ever pulled in. Right now, I think it is. I think there's maybe some room, depending on when people line up, when they came in certain classes in the past. There's a pretty good stretch of wide receivers there in about the 2003, 2004, 5 arena. That I would argue is comparable there, but especially with not just what they were speculated to be in terms of how good they were, but what they ended up being.
Yep.
Thoughts on that? Best wide receiver class?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is too. I think you can firmly say it statistically, and with all the recruiting rankings and things that were not as advanced back in the early 2000s, right? You can say, okay, you look at the numbers where these guys are ranked, where we think they could be, what we think their potential is. This is the best incoming freshman recruiting signee class Auburn's ever had. Now, you know, I think instead the fact that we use that kind of as a blanket statement of this is the best receiver class Auburn's ever had, well, we have no idea what they'll do at all. I mean, there's a possibility that they all, either through whatever reasons, don't end up panning out, don't play, have injuries, whatever. So I think it's important to say it's the best recruiting receiver class Auburn's ever had, because, like you said, those early 2000s, and we have the benefit of hindsight with Obamanu and Aroma Shadu and
Courtney Taylor, Anthony Mix, all of them.
Tons of guys who produced and probably wouldn't have had the accolades of recruiting that these guys have now. So just hoping that they turn into that. If they turn into that, Auburn is going to be just fine. So hopefully these 4 receivers and maybe 5 turn out to be pretty good examples for Auburn.
It does feel like this is the beginning of something very special with that group that's been needed for quite some time, not taking anything away from a lot of individual performances from wide receivers over the last few years, but there is yet to be kind of a cohesive, good feeling about the group as a whole for a while. And you could say that about some other areas too in the Auburn football team. So a lot to be excited for there. It was nothing but wins all day for Auburn recruiting wise that on signing day.
Absolutely. Kyle, this is not something I want to talk about right now because it is not our football debrief, but I do want to talk about at some point this idea of the recruiting calendar with you.
Yes.
In terms of the early sign day. I'm putting that out there publicly so that you and I both remember.
Put a pin in it and we'll talk about that. I think that's a good old crotchety man because I feel like some coaches will get in on that with us if they were to listen in on it.
I'd be more than happy to go old crotchety with you on that.
Well, let's do it. Okay. Let's talk about the bowl game. How about that? I mean,
oh boy,
all the good feelings just gone. Every bit of them. I mean, I don't even know where to start with this. I mean,
first off, I was there.
You were there?
Yes.
I'm so sorry. You said you had a good holiday. You lied?
I mean, I was perspective, Kyle. I was trying to put it all in perspective, blotting out my mind. I was there. I have to stop going to bowl games, first of all.
Yes, you do. Yes, you can no longer blame it on me. It's on you now.
It never goes well. I really need to stop going to any Auburn football game outside of Jordan-Hare Stadium. But yes, I was in attendance in that cold, rainy day, miserable day, not talking about even the football weather or the football field performance. It was atrocious. 21-0 happened, and I was like, oh my gosh, why am I sitting here?
Can I make a comparison? There were rumors and speculation leading up to that game time that there might even be a little bit of flurries in the air, and it amounted to nothing except some cold rain. And can I say that's a very good analogy as to what happened with the Auburn football performance? A lot of speculation, a lot of excitement, nothing but miserableness. I mean, just
misery.
I very rarely.
The food was good.
Okay, well, there's one positive, I guess. That's what you got to do to help yourself. I just don't like to come out and be all emotional about it, but it was just awful, and I wasn't even there. There was no point where Auburn was in it. The kickoff, maybe. I mean,
Well, we didn't even receive the ball first, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the ball before the ball was kicked off, we were in it, and that was about it. I mean,
we won the coin toss, Kyle. That's literally it. Maybe I don't even remember.
I struggled to try to figure out what the problem was. Was Maryland just much better, or did we not care? What makes some sense of it for me?
I don't want to be that person to say we didn't care. Oh, it wasn't a big deal to us, because it should have been. Right. I mean, I know it's the Music City Bowl, but it should have been a big deal because you get to go on to a bowl game. And I know the whole world thinks bowl games are stupid now. Bowl games are useless, whatever. Coach Hugh Freeze even said himself, this is a time our guys should enjoy what they've done on the season, enjoy themselves, and play an opponent and play for their fans, play for pride, whatever. It should have meant more if it didn't. I don't know if I'm not accusing them of saying they didn't care to be out there or not. But I think that there is a point to where you can say opt-outs and transfer portal hurts. Yeah. And we could get into the calendar if we wanted to on this right now. I don't want to, but I'm saying that I think that's a factor here. In addition to that, I think that caused a lot of youth on the team, youth to be playing immediately. Mm-hmm. Now, the youth at points sometimes weren't even the bad parts of the game.
Right. Hank Brown looking pretty good.
At some points, the youth were the brightest spots of the game performance. So it's not even really that either, I don't think. I don't think there was a good offensive game plan. And I think that
I think we could see that now with a certain thing that happened.
I think that's been addressed and had been working up to being addressed. It was just pitiful. It was pitiful when you've got, like, I think not one of my favorite ones, but one that tends to stand the test of time. Auburn, like, myths that Auburn fans just love to talk about is, here comes the backup quarterback. They're going to be a Heisman contender after they play Auburn. Well, they had two of them, and both of them were that. Like, it's just like everything turned out to be exactly what Auburn fans were like, well, yeah, we just laid an egg in a bowl game, and the two backups look like world beaters.
Yep. That's exactly.
And we lost to some turtles. We lost to some
turtles, folks. I mean, that's really what it amounts to.
Got boat raced by turtles. It's the fastest turtles have ever moved in my whole life.
So
21 points like that.
I was really looking forward to this bowl matchup because, there was some history there. Clint and I did an episode talking about the history, not only of the Music City Bowl for Auburn being in it. Well, that history's ruined now. It's not ruined, but it's sullied a little bit. And then, the history that was with Maryland, having not played them in so many decades. And I like the uniform look. I mean, there was so much with this bowl matchup and what had been a very boring bowl season to like, and goose egg. I mean, just goose egg. And look, we don't like to be those guys that sit here and just be negative about it. But what are we supposed to say about it? I mean, like,
give me one positive. Like
Hank Brown.
And look, and I'm going to be the pessimist that says, well, duh, he lit it up. They were playing prevent defense in the fourth quarter.
Yes, thank you.
Look, all the credit to Hank Brown. He still came in and made the passes that others couldn't. Well, it's not his fault that they're playing prevent defense in the fourth quarter, just trying to get home back to Baltimore. Right. So I think it is a bright spot, but if you put it into context, it's kind of like, well, it's still it was bad. It was just absolutely bad. And it's such a difference between the last time Auburn was up there with Purdue. Maybe all things level out. And that's what had to happen for Auburn in Nashville after the Purdue.
I just figured it out. Okay. So, and when I say this, please, everyone hear me.
Please don't say what you're about to say.
You know what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it.
Please
don't say it. Don't say it. If a lot of you picked up what I'm thinking, we have a tone for something that but yes. But what I'm saying is, I will say that. Here's what I keep saying. I'm going to say something and I don't say it. Austin's just saying, don't say it. We
just go, whatever. Go for it. I know what you're going to say.
We have paid our penance, and I'm going to listen to my co-host and not say anything further. Other things that have happened in our debrief besides this show falling apart, trying to rationalize what just happened. We've had several. I broke you. We've had several people confirm that they were going to be going to the NFL draft, transferring out. The transfer portal supposedly is closed now because others said they weren't going to go, and now they are, or potentially have gone into the portal. So we'll probably have some more definitive stuff around that and conversations in the coming weeks and episodes. So I don't want us to spend detail and time on that right now. The main thing is I wanted us to acknowledge the greatness of that signing day, the frustrating nature of the bowl game, and just continue to reinforce that being an Auburn fan, boy, it's a roller coaster ride sometimes.
That's the truth. Kyle, can I ask you one question before we move on?
If I can behave and not
it has nothing to do with things that you shouldn't. And two-part question.
Yes.
Should Auburn sign a quarterback from the transfer portal, and do they?
Should and do they? I would say there are quarterbacks, Peyton Thorne, Holden, Hank, and Walker. Walker takes the wide of Robbie. In terms of a numbers game, no, they shouldn't. But if they want to make more of a competition, then sure. I'm going to say no, they shouldn't. And I know that's a very unpopular take for a lot of people, but I think they will if the opportunity presents itself correctly. Why wouldn't you? If an opportunity, if someone you think can help your football team, why wouldn't you? That's always kind of been my rationale with that, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, I'm good with that answer. I understand that.
We'll stick a pin in that because I'm sure there's some conversation coming up that for other episodes. But there's your debrief and roller coaster ride for Auburn football the last couple of weeks. Topic number 2 tonight, we get to finally talk about something that has been completely amazing over the last several weeks. Auburn shooty hoops. Woo! Bruce Pearl and the boys going into Bud Walton and just laying it, just making some bacon, sizzling, cracking. I mean, I am still shocked by what just transpired about that game. And look, we're trying to take
a million years.
We're trying to take a holistic look at this, just like we did with the football segment a few minutes ago there. We're trying to kind of debrief. This is not a debrief, though. This is a celebration of what's been transpiring, because literally what's happened, Austin, I think this is what, a 6-game winning streak as of this recording.
Yes, correct.
I think so. That would be like almost since we took a break for the holidays. Auburn men's basketball has not only finished out its non-conference schedule in fine fashion, which you would expect them to do. They got through the USCs, the Indianas, the Baylors, even the App States, folks. A lot of you discredit that game. That's a pretty decent basketball team, especially at their home court. Got out with 11-2 at the time, and then started SEC play at Arkansas. And it's going to get tough, folks. So we're celebrating right now. Don't think that just because of you, we went into Bud Walton and gave them their worst home loss ever, 32 points, that this thing is far from over. But boy, what a way to start the SEC play and to keep this train rolling for Bruce Pearl. I mean, just it's so much fun right now.
The last thing from my mind was that was going to happen. I literally could have never guessed Auburn would go into Bud Walton Arena, a place that is incredibly hard to play for anybody. They beat Duke by 5 earlier this year. And Arkansas is not what Arkansas has been in the past. They've got
They're still talented, though.
They're still talented. They've got to mush it all together. They've taken a lot of portal additions that are just not working together this year quite yet. But to go into Bud Walton Arena and win that kind of game, playing that well, and let's not forget that this game is always Arkansas Super Bowl. To go in there and win by 32 is
32.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked. And we keep saying this about this basketball team. There's not, like, it was Chad Baker-Mazara this time, but there's not a guy every game that is going to be your go-to guy, and you have to have him play well to win. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. That's a great thing. Like, Janai Broome, I don't think he scored in the first half.
He did not. Or maybe 0 points in the first half. I put the stat line up on social media just so that we could have it for posterity. Like, Auburn's winning at Bud Walton at halftime, folks, and Janai Broome has 0 points.
They were winning. Like, it's not like they had to come back with Janai. Like, it's a deep and it's a balanced team that's a lot of fun. And I think it's going to be really, really good SEC play team to get into and to really, it's going to be tough. And I'm glad that we saw that kind of success on the road at a place like Bud Walton Arena after Auburn losing to App State at App State, because Bruce Pearl said it in his postgame. They were absolutely rattled. They were frantic. They did not know how to handle that kind of atmosphere. And you think, well, how in the world are they going to handle a place like Arkansas or these places like Kentucky or Alabama? Not Alabama. There's like 5 people there. But all these other places, they just come out. When they can't even handle App State, and to see them be that unselfish and play together and just take the crowd out of it. It was incredibly impressive. My jaw was on the floor, and good for good reason.
Yeah. Look, I have stressed this every opportunity I get when I'm live on the YouTube channel, on the TikTokies, wherever that that's what I call it. That I'd stress very fervently to not talk about so much hyperbole, to talk about with realism, not oversay things positively or negatively, especially when we're talking about a season that is still, they're not halfway done. Well, I think now we'd be at the halfway point, technically, numbers wise, but there's still so much basketball left to be played. But this team is just making it so difficult not to just flat out say, this is an Elite 8 team. This is a potential Final Four team. This is a great basketball team that it would be now a severe disservice that doesn't make a Sweet 16 team. And I am venturing to say they are should be a lock for an Elite 8 team. Now that's me. Most of you hear that and say, oh, well, you're saying you're number one. You're one of the top 8 teams in the country. Not necessarily, because the games still have to be played. Rankings only matter so much. By the way, it's great to be ranked, and now we'll be kept in the rankings.
About time.
I had someone ask in a live stream, will Auburn still be ranked by the end of January? And I said, well, that Arkansas game is going to really determine whether or not we are, because that's going to be the thing that kind of locks us into a spot, even if we were to slip up a couple of games after that.
And on top of that, I mean, not that rankings right now in the middle of January are the most important thing
to talk about. Yeah.
But the 5 or 6 ahead of Auburn, including some undefeateds, lost, and then you look at what Auburn just did to Arkansas. I mean, solidify for sure, but you're going to have some breathing room as well, I think, moving up in the rankings.
Well, and here's the great thing. Whether we talk about rankings, just how well the team's playing together right now, one of the knocks on Bruce Pearl's coach teams of the last several years is not playing well on the road and getting significant road wins. Hasn't always been the narrative, but there's been a trend of that in my recent memory. Mm-hmm. And App State is kind of an example of that. Even though they took them down to the wire, that's not one you technically should be dropping in most people's minds, but it's not the worst loss in the world. Auburn just went into one of the toughest places in the SEC and college basketball.
Yeah.
Just embarrassed them. Apparently they had to go to practice right after the game. I think Andy Burcham was still finishing his post-game stuff, and they were practicing on the floor. Their coach, Musselman, who doesn't have very many muscles, was very upset, apparently, in his press conference.
Sad, angry little man.
I mean, it is just embarrassing what we did to them. And frankly, it's much deserved after 2 years ago. So that it was,
absolutely.
I want to say this too, for all you YouTube Arky fans out there, where are you at? Where are you at? I haven't heard any little wee pig sueys anywhere. I'm just listening out.
Having to postpone that Super Bowl parade, I guess.
I mean, look, I understand, it's fun to beat the number 1 team. Auburn's done it a couple times, but hey, you can't have it on one end and it be this big deal, but then pretend like it wasn't at the same token. It's just,
I think we're spending a lot of time a favor by making sure that Musselman kept his shirt on.
That's true. And wouldn't it have been great if Bruce ran around the arena with his twirling his shirt around?
Yes, that would have been hilarious.
It would have been absolutely hilarious. And look, he's not been one to shy away from kind of having a little fun against the opponent, doing the crane kick and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Alabama, and I think that probably, now seeing him, that's probably a little bit above where he wants to go at this point, but it would have been fun to watch. So great into non-conference play, great start to conference play. Auburn's got some tough games coming up with Texas A&M, LSU. Eventually, Ole Miss is coming down the line here too.
Yep.
We have to visit that monstrosity of a Vanderbilt place.
Oh, that's not the monstrosity. I thought you were going to say we're visiting.
Oh, that's just sad. I just feel sad for that.
I'm going.
But did we not just talk about during the football segment about you stopped?
No. Look. Football and basketball, way different. Way different. I got good success on basketball, especially in that airplane hangar.
Yeah, so I just feel sad for them. I can't even make fun of it because it's just pitiful. But the Vanderbilt monstrosity.
Now that is diabolical.
That makes me want to do very unchristian things. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. Like, I look at it on the TV and I just rage with everything in me. It is absolutely okay. We can talk about that more when that actually happens. I can spend a whole segment on that. The team is surging right now, playing well together. And I want to point something out, Austin, to wrap us up. We just spent the entire time talking about the team. Yes, we mentioned Chad Pager-Mazar because he's the recent star, and we talked about how he's the guy that night. Janai is your star of your team, and you see what happens when he just turns it on and puts the team away. I mean, he's kind of the catalyst that put that thing into motion for the second half. But what the prevailing thing we've talked about, and I think this Arkansas game is a good example of that. This Auburn team is almost the reverse of the last year. This is a team that loves more so to play together, and it's showing on the court. Whereas Arkansas is a team full of talent that doesn't seem to play well together right now. And I think that's a very interesting juxtaposition. And I think it's hopefully a trend that you and I are going to be talking a lot about over the coming months and episodes.
Well said. Yep. Well said.
That is going to do our catch-up celebration of sorts of Auburn basketball. Thankfully, we've got something to smile about and be happy about these days as an Auburn fan. And that's going to do it for this show. Episode 61 in the books. Thank you all for tuning in, whether you listened, watched live, whether you're catching this replay. We appreciate you all being here. If you want to find me, you can do so on X/Twitter at Kyle Loomis24. Where can they find you, sir?
You can find me at Austin G. Scott. It's good to be back with you, Kyle. We greatly appreciate everybody running with us because it's Running with Reed's 61st episode, and we're happy to be back.
There it is. I was wondering if you're going to use that one or not, so I'm glad you got it in at the end, and we'll have to remember that from now on. If you don't get it at the front end, get on the back end. We got to run that up to the back there. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Auburn Experience podcast. Until we talk to you again, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
All right, folks, that is the live recording. Stick around. I will be hanging out with you guys for a few more minutes. I can take comments and questions, but I will open the floor for final thoughts for Austin before he needs to head off to do adult things.
Adult things, yeah. At your own discretion, use that how you will. I think I'm good.
I was just saying that you have a job you have to go to, and
unfortunately.
I'm doing my job right now, but I have a little bit more flexibility than you. But if you had,
I saw something.
Was it about football, basketball?
I was thinking we didn't bring this up because it's not our football debrief. But yeah, how'd you like those college football semifinal games?
Oh, they were fun. I would prefer not to have to panic that Alabama was going to get into a championship again, but it was fun.
Sure. Thought it was if they're in it, it was an enjoyable way to watch them, I guess.
Would you like to drop a prediction for tomorrow night since this is your last time till that happens?
Oh, I really want Washington to win, honestly. I think they're really fun. I think Penix is just a really good talent. I think Michigan's going to win, though.
I think so too.
I think I think that defense is pretty freaking good. So I don't have a score, but I'm pretty sure. I feel pretty good about saying Michigan will win.
I don't know that
I wanted Texas in it. I really wanted Texas in it.
I don't know that I'm rooting for Michigan, but I am okay with Michigan winning. Like, to me, I think this is just one I'm excited just to sit down and watch and not panic that, well, dread the result being one of my rivals getting a championship. And, you know, I can sit down and watch it this year.
Speaking of, very quickly,
Devin, we got to give Devin a shout out. She is a Washington surrogate. Well, not I call her a surrogate fan, but that's like her second.
Oh yeah, no, I want the Huskies to win, Devin. Truly.
Sorry, I'm not pulling against Washington. I am kind of pulling for Penix because I like him as a quarterback, but I'm also not pulling against Michigan too. So take that how you will.
Can we just real quickly discuss that they put the play that shall not be named in their halftime show? Did you not know this?
No. What did I miss?
You didn't hear? How did you not hear about this at the semifinal game?
At the Kissimmee? Did you say the Kissimmee final or the semifinal?
The semifinal game. They designed their whole halftime show around 4th and 31.
No, they did not.
Kyle, how did I miss you didn't hear about this?
How did I miss this?
I actually, I'm just going to pub myself a little bit. I have a tweet that went viral about it.
Excuse me? Where have I been?
I don't know. I'm kind of concerned about what you were doing on New Year's Eve.
Well, I can tell you what I wasn't doing. I was paying attention to my job. So.
No, they like, you could hear it while they were doing the halftime show, like the analysis. You could hear, they played Eli Gold's call. They made a football out of the band members and him caught it. I'm like, do not ever talk to me about our obsession with the kick six again. Ever. And people are like, oh, well, it's been 10 years. No. The kick six is a college football historical, incredible play. You're talking about beating a 6-6 team on a Hail Mary on a terrible defensive scheme.
And then you can't even get into the championship game because of a 4th and 3 play, which negates that. I mean, come on.
I was floored when I heard the halftime show. No, you got to go back and find that. I can't believe you didn't know about that.
I am ashamed. Again, there's plenty of reasons. We find this every episode that I should take away my Auburn card. So now I've got to go find that and watch that. That's funny.
It's pitiful from the $1.39 band.
The $1.39 band. On that, what a note to go out on. So thanks for hanging out with us tonight.
I'm not going to drop my mic, but it's brand
Please
new.
Don't.
But I'm figuratively dropping.
I will sweat profusely if I see that nice microphone drop. So don't do that.
Yes. All right, buddy. War Eagle.
War Eagle. All right, folks. You are stuck with me for the next few minutes. Actually, it's only about 8 minutes until about an hour stream. Normally that's how long I stay on, but if we got a good crowd here right now, so if you all have particular comments or questions you'd like me to address, I kind of use this as a mini Wednesday night show after our Sunday recordings. So, yeah, as I always say to you folks, if you show up, you stick around, you know, we'll produce the content that you want. So use this time nicely if you'd like to. And of course, please do smash the like button. Oh, it did it. If you can, because that is very much appreciated. It is a big help for us. And I'll tell you what, continue to post your comments and questions. And we'll go back through some of them too if we don't have a lot of new ones that y'all did during the show. But let me go ahead and do this part of the show, and then we'll spend the rest of the time just hanging out and talking about those things. You know, I've got to plug away and stuff like that. But you did hear during our stream, if you can, a big way to support us is through supporting Magic Mind, who is the sponsor for this podcast. You can use the link down there. magicmind.com/E2C or /Auburn podcast and use the code Auburn20, and that'll help you check them out and you can support them. But we also want you to support by checking out the links in the description here on YouTube. And also I want to make you aware of the upcoming schedule. If I can get to it. Oh, that's what we just did. Next live stream is going to be right after the Texas A&M game. It's going to be late, but come hang out or watch the replay if you can. We'd love to have you watch live though. Wednesday night, the Auburn Family Night back. Oh, and look, it's almost like I knew we were going to be talking about this tonight. Look what's in that image right there. The Auburn University marching band doing the Metallica show during the daytime, mind you, but that's a cool little shot there with the tiger eyes. But live caller show Wednesday night. And I will tell you, you need to take advantage of these Wednesday nights during basketball season, because the schedule will get a little wonky with some games that will conflict with it. So don't miss out on a Wednesday night for the next several months, really. couple months at least. And then Auburn versus LSU Saturday. This should be right after the game Saturday. I may have a slight schedule conflict, so it may like be a few minutes or so, or we'll figure it out. But please tune in for that as well. So that's what you can expect. That's how you can support us. Let's talk to you guys, see what you got going on. Let's see. Trolling Bama. Nice. Yes. What else here? WT says, I'm pulling for Michigan in this game. They took a dump on UA's season, and that grants them some leeway with me. You know what? That is the reason I will now pull for Michigan. So thank you, WT. And I'm sorry, Devin, but Auburn fandom comes first. And to continue to just dig it in to the Bama fans, I've got to pull for Michigan just to watch them complete it. I think you meant Auburn basketball, because you would say this AUMB is normally which the abbreviation you use for the band, which we talked about. What is the negative bias behind not ranking Auburn men's basketball higher? It's a good question, and I don't know that there truly is a negative bias, but I think, hear me out, and we talked about this during the podcast recording, that there is a little bit of a stigma of recency where Auburn under Bruce Pearl has not performed well on the road and at some significant neutral site games. I would say that has been very much helped by that Arkansas matchup, and that stigma / quote unquote negative bias will have less of a hold. To me, that's kind of what I would say. If there is a negative bias, kind of sits there. And sometimes everybody looks at these rankings, these analytics, and everybody's got their favorite one, or this commentator believes this one more than the other. And we all love to tout, I think it's the Ken Palm, who has Auburn like at number 5 currently. They're all just meaningless rankings. The main thing is to perform well enough resume wise to get into the dance. Hopefully you get up into an easier bracket and an easier situation, and then you can really have some success. That's what really matters. So whether there is a bias or not, I don't know. At times it has seemed that way, but maybe that's why you see that, and maybe that's why you feel that. Chatham in Opelika, just chatting away. What's going on? Thanks for checking in with us. Don't know who Percy Lewis is. Devin is understanding. No worries. If I wasn't a Huskies fan, I would probably take the same approach. But see, Devin, I'm going to push you a little bit here. Are you an Auburn fan before you were a Huskies fan, or a Huskies fan before an Auburn fan? You don't have to answer if you don't want to, but I'm curious now, because shouldn't that overtake? It can't, because you're a Huskies fan too. But I'm just wondering there where that all, how you navigate that tricky road with this. It doesn't really matter. If you were, how about this? Auburn versus Washington, football, basketball, whatever. Who are you pulling for? Corey would like to put down $1,000 that game day is going to be at the Iron Bowl this year. The only thing that would fight against that is if they go there after that. No, I will disagree with you, Corey. This is me, not me committing to this. This is me having fun with this. I'm not committing to $1,000, but $1,000 says they go to Texas A&M. That's where they're going. I'm going to guarantee it right now, somewhat depending on how both teams perform, but that rivalry is being renewed in the SEC. That's where they're going. I figured you were an Auburn fan first. I was just curious, though, for a second. Just for a second. Any news on the Auburn Uniform Partnership contract? No, I have not received any news. Now, Clint is your guy to pay attention for that. So the Auburn Uniform database, I'm sure he gets asked about this almost weekly. That's kind of Clint's space. So even if I got an inkling of that, I probably wouldn't tell you guys. I'm going to let him be the purveyor of that news, and I'll just react to it. But I don't get a sense that there's been anything big. I don't get the sense that we'll hear anything soonish. Also, remember this, Clint talked about this with uniforms. Even if a new contract is met, my understanding, if I remember what he said, that these uniforms are ordered / prepared for 2 years in advance. So I would bet you would not see a change, even if today Nike was the new one, until about 2 years down the line. Just my take on it. Oh, Lewis, the transfer from Texas A&M. I don't really, I haven't, is he the offensive tackle? Defensive, which one is he? I'm going to be honest with you. And I think you've been here long enough, Alan. I don't spend a lot of time investing in the recruiting stuff until they actually commit. So I don't spend a lot of time digging into them until that happens. So I'll just admit that I'm not the most informed of him, but now that recollects my memory a little bit. When Auburn played UW, I was at that game in Auburn a few years ago. I decked out in my Auburn gear to watch the game. Yes, she has officially stated her claim and proved it. So hats off to you, Devin. You are an Auburn fan. We beat Washington Bo's first year. Bo Nix. We beat Oregon Bo's first year. Unless you're talking about Bo Jackson. Yes, in my understanding, this contract covers all sports. Yes, that would be that would be true. Yeah, we'll talk about them somewhat here, and I don't want to sit here and act like I'm an insider on the recruits and stuff like that. I haven't heard anything. Yeah, that's about it. Derek Nix is who you want as the OC. Hopefully, hoping to hear something tomorrow. Monday is usually a big news cycle. Y'all haven't figured that out. Even outside of football season, that's kind of when, not just like awards, SEC Player of the Weeks, all those things are dropped, but it just seems like that's the big news cycle day. Not just sports even too. Think about it. We've been gone for the weekend, and now they need to get us reeled back in. So I would say I don't really have a leaning one way or the other on this, because the prevailing opinion is that Hugh should take the reins, and also that he should have someone that he can take the reins over. And so if that's the case, why wouldn't you just promote within? Why not? Promote Kent Austin, a quarterback's coach. Either make him the OC, promote Cadillac, promote Will Thornton, and just have them be the surrogate one in name alone and give them the work experience behind that. I don't know. I just don't know which way we're going to go on this. It may come tomorrow. It may not. Richard says the AU jet was flying today, so maybe a new coordinator. Oh, but that could be flying for so many things. So I think sometimes, Richard, we get way too invested in the flying of that jet, especially during very key moments. Now, sometimes it's legit, like they were flying to go get a new coach or whatever. That plane flies more than for athletics. So I wouldn't get too invested in that. If Nike gets the contract, do you think it will be the swoosh or the jump man logo? Now, my understanding, that's two distinct things, though. So I think if Nike gets the contract, Nike logo will be the contract or the logo we use. That's my understanding. I could be wrong. So, yeah, I would say it'd be the swoosh. I am hoping it won't be Nike, not because I have anything against them, just because I like for Auburn to be different. If we're going to change, let's change to something different. Maybe we get the quarterback coach from LSU and flip the #1 quarterback. Wishful thinking, Corey. I don't know that you're going to have a big splash with this one, because I don't know that Derek Nix from Ole Miss is a big splash. Who are Dell McGee from Georgia has been out there in name alone. Because we discussed him on the show, and that's not me telling you one way or another to look, but he's been out there. The guy from UNLV's name was thrown out there. That's not really a splash. It'll just kind of be what it is, I think. There won't be a lot of excitement around it. And I do want to say this as well, and I said this during our reaction show to the news, that I'm very sad for Philip Montgomery and his family, because I think they really got involved with Auburn this last year. At least it seemed like it. Social media, his wife as well. So I hate to see that happen to them. Something had to give, I guess. It is what it is. Hugh should call plays. However, doesn't need to be tied down to game planning all week, allowing time for recruiting. I think we forget, though, how much game planning is tied to the play calling. You can't just go out there and call plays if you're not part of the game planning significantly. In my opinion, I've never been a coordinator, but I don't know that you can seriously remove yourself from that. Here's what I do know. Time will tell whether Hugh had the right strategy of pushing himself so hardcore into the recruiting for this first year, maybe at the detriment of the team. Time will tell if that was the right call. I think it was the right call. Maybe. Well, time will tell us. But yeah, I think he is going to have to find a balance. Still probably a little bit more swayed to game planning, game calling at this time. If Hugh calls the plays, it could end up like Malzahn play calling debacle. Well, I disagree with that a little bit because people couldn't make up their minds. They did want Malzahn to call plays and they didn't. People were just not going to be happy with Malzahn regardless. And the dude couldn't win no matter what. I think it's probably a good decision to take back the reins of the offense yourself right now after you went so hardcore into recruiting, and then work your way back into a more evened out role over time. We'll watch and wait and see what happens. All right. Final comments, questions, derogatory rebuttals. Get them in right now. Smash the like button if you haven't. It's a huge help to us. Please do check out some of those links in the description for ways that you can help support us by checking out our sponsor, by becoming a channel member here on YouTube. You can hit the join button. On Facebook, you can subscribe now, by the way. It's a $1 a month thing. It'll help keep the lights on here. So if you're watching on Facebook, you can take advantage of that. You don't have to. It's just something that you can choose to do or not to do. We only bring these things up for those of you that are interested. The best thing you can do is be here and smash the like button. Let's see here. Plainsman Murph says, they say Ron Roberts may be about to bow out. Not sure if it's personal or if he will be forced out. We will never truly know in some of these situations, unless it's blatantly said, whether it was truly a parting of ways, fired, asked to leave, told to leave. It would not surprise me to see that change as well, given who supposedly has been brought in as the defensive back coach, a second defensive back coach. In fact, I'm going to check something for you very quickly to see if they've updated the staff. Philip Montgomery is still listed, and Charles Kelly has not been listed yet on the football staff. So there's no official confirmation that I know of Charles Kelly being brought in, but some say he might get elevated someday. So there you go. Corey, I don't know if there's been a legitimate confirmation that he did enter the portal. I know there was reports that he would, but I thought that the time window had passed. Maybe there was some rule or exception. So I haven't heard anything. I feel like that would have been pretty obvious if he had. I don't know. So there you go. All right, we're going to call it a night right there. You guys continue. Look at this with his nice words right here. Appreciate that. Thank you guys for being here, being part of this family. We had a great crowd tonight. I hope you guys will come back every Sunday night, 9 Eastern time. This is, especially at the beginning and the end, you can take advantage of these type of format where you can just hang out and talk together. I'd really love for this year to be the year that we really help this little family within the Auburn family explode. I always want us to be that little family but it doesn't mean we can't grow. So tell a friend, invite them in, smash the like button, be here. And I hope to see you either after the Texas A&M game, Wednesday night at 8 on our live call-in show, after the LSU game, or maybe back here next Sunday night. You guys continue to be the best little family within the Auburn family, and I appreciate you so, so much. Until we talk to you again, War Eagle.